Good morning, you guys. It's Tuesday, but it feels like Monday, April I don't know what day it is. It was just Easter 18. It's like the 22nd, maybe. I realize that my hair looks not great, and that I'm not wearing any makeup, but honestly, it's fine. It doesn't change who I am, and you all just can imagine that I look better than I do, and that's fine. I hope you all had a great weekend. I hope you got to eat some food with some people who you love, and hang out and have some laughs and enjoy yourself, because really that's what Easter is all about. We won't go into the origins of it, but you know what? Coming together, having a reason to come together with your people. Um, it doesn't matter what the origins are, because you're not, whatever the origins are, the whole point is to be with people who you love. So I hope you all get to do that. I find in the timeline of my life as I go through, and I don't know if everyone feels this way or not, but in the timeline of my life, my objective is to learn as much as I can and heal from all my trauma. And I'm constantly finding contradictions within myself, but especially within society. And I don't want to do a great long video, but I do want to say something. And so here I am. You are told from the time you're little to stand out, especially now, right? Everybody's like, be yourself, be yourself. If you want to be anything you fucking want to be, you can be. Unless you want to be authentic. If you want to be a fake person with pink hair, or lie about your gender, or have some kind of mental problem, or be fake, or be inauthentic, be a Facebook personality where when you see these people, they're like, oh, everything's so great, and then it's not. It's not. Or somebody who is a liberal in public, when people are like, oh, we should look after the homeless drug addicts, or we should give money to people who don't have money and who don't work for it and don't earn it and it isn't theirs, when we should just give that anyway. Liberals, people who spent the majority of their life in a government run funded institution so that they could learn. And I'm not trying to judge, because I kind of was that person. I always felt like something was wrong, but I was a all the way rule follower my whole life. Like, I skipped school one time and I felt so sick that and guilty and gross that I hung out in the bathroom until halfway through, and then I went back. Like, and I couldn't do that stuff. Not because I'm a good person, but because I have a guilty conscience, like a big one. So I'm not trying to judge anyone, and we're put on this earth, and immediately people are charging us to live here. You know, you pay taxes on the land that you live on, the land that you bought, you still have to pay more taxes. It's just, the list goes on. But we're taught, but at the same time as we're being taught to fit in, we are being told to stand out. And you see all these people all around, and you're not only to stand out, but to be yourself. If you haven't seen the Barbie movie, and you have no interest in seeing the Barbie movie, because a lot of people can't be bothered. I'm not watching that as Barbie. It's a really good movie. I recommend it. It's funny. All I could think of, every scene, and you're gonna do this too if you decide to watch it, is Ryan Gosling, who put on an awesome performance. He really did a great job. All I could see was like his chest scars, so it makes me think he might have had top surgery, but that's going a little deeper than most people want to go. But great movie. Margot Robbie was great, but if you haven't seen it, you don't want to see it, go find, and I have not looked this up, but I'm sure you can find this section of the movie where America Ferrera gives this great speech. And I don't know if it would have you in tears if you didn't watch the movie, but it might. But if you did watch the movie, you'll cry like a fucking girl. Or I cried like a girl. I don't know what you'll do. Maybe you'll just laugh and think it's stupid, but I cried like a girl. And it is absolutely true. And it goes for men and it goes for women, about they want you to be yourself. But when you are yourself, they whack-a-mole you into submission. And it really does take courage to stand up against that. Like for me, my problem is that I shouldn't call it it's not a problem. It creates problems around me because I try my very best to always have integrity. So I didn't not wear a mask during COVID because I was like, fuck you, I don't want to. I didn't wear a mask during COVID because I went to school and I learned in like grade 2 that bacteria grows in warm, damp places. And so I didn't want that to be my mouth. And that's why I didn't wear a mask, because I knew that it was unhealthy and I wasn't going to do it. And I could not justify putting one on my child because I knew it was unhealthy and I knew it was child abuse. And so there's a lot of people out there who really believed in the mask. They didn't care about the facts, and they really believed that that was going to keep them safe because they still believe the government is there to help them. And so they wore those masks. And I would suggest that those people also have integrity because they were acting based on their beliefs. And that's what I try to do. Like, I'm not going to tell you in my house in private that people who are participating in the Pride Parade are not really people with gender dysphoria, which is a real thing. They are fetishists and perverts and groomers. And that's my opinion. And I'm allowed to have that because I still live in fucking Canada for at least a little while yet. So, but my opinion doesn't change. It doesn't change when I'm talking to my nephew who used to be my niece, because the reason for it is not because I look at them and go, oh, they're perverts. It's because I look at the detransitioners, right? When I find a topic that makes me feel like it's off, I don't just judge it. I go and I look. And the thing that I found in the transgender community is that the detransitioners are many. And these kids have their lives ruined before they even start. And so my opinion isn't based on I'm going, you guys are yucky. And let's not forget all the ones who've been picked up for like essaying their own children, their adopted children, of course, because you know, I know what goes on inside the group. And the reason I know isn't because I like made a few, looked up on YouTube. I looked up on YouTube actual transgender people who say what I believe, and then I go, okay. Because I'm always looking for things to make sense. I guess that's for me. If things don't make sense, I can't understand it, and I can't work with it. I can't support it. I can't anything. I have to find out. I have to, for my own brain and my own sanity, I need to make it make sense. If it doesn't make sense, then I can't work with it, and it's over there. And you can't make sense of everything, but as you go through life, you find the certain things that are like, I need to know more about that. And so that's what happens with me. Typically, if I haven't really dived into a topic, I will say, before I say anything, if you ask me, I don't really know much about the topic, but from what I do know, this is the situation. But if I've gone and if I say to you, this is the way it is, that means that I have definitively gone and researched the shit out of some specific topic on my own, which I don't really do. I have a few topics that I really dig into, but there's a lot that I don't have time, right? We all have to pick and figure out the things that are important to us. And I guess the reason for me to come in and try to make this short, you guys, I have shit to do, and I know I take up a lot of your time, and I really appreciate you listening to me going on. And I only do this because I really wonder if other people feel the way I do, or am I way out the fucking left field, which I'm fine with. I just want to know, because I do have people that I talk to about this stuff, and they're like, yeah, that's exactly right. And then I have other people who like can't have a conversation with me because we disagree. And then I have people who I know haven't done the research and are like bad mouthing me and laughing at me and calling me stupid. And And right now, because everybody's dealing with the election, that's the topic. For me, I have one foot in both camps. In the one hand, I believe that if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. I think it's all a selection. The only reason we have Carney is because everybody hated Trudeau. He had to step up so they could put in another talking head. But if you actually supported the Liberals, like nobody supports Carney, and if you do, they all. I'm trying to understand because I do see Liberal signs around, and around here in Nova Scotia, we have this stupid blonde chick with a great big face, and big mouth and big teeth, and I don't know how true it is, but I saw a post about. No, you know what? I don't know how true it is. So I'm not even gonna. But when I look at her, I get the creeps. I always did. I'm like, fuck that chick. That's so. Ew. Anyway, and for many years, long before, and when I was still living in fucking Halifax, so like 2017, I was a huge Pierre Poilievre supporter, massive. I loved that fucking guy. I used to talk about him at the table, and I showed my sister's friend a picture of him, and she's like, "Is that your boyfriend?" I'm like, "No, dude, he's a fucking Canadian politician." Like, what's wrong with you? You don't even know. And I was that guy cheering for that dude every time he stood up and had a smart ass remark and made a joke and asked a legitimate question. I was like, yeah, yep, that's the guy right there. But then I started looking around, of course, and he's got the token like LGBT chick and the token couple East Indian guys. He does have a good representation of the people of Canada. And I thought he was very smart and well spoken, highly educated, and funny, right? For me, but then you start to realize that charisma is not a trait you really look for. It is a trait in leaders because that's one of the ways that they get there, that and being put there. I followed him for a really long time until during COVID. Initially, he was telling us the government didn't give us, we didn't have enough vaccines for everybody. We needed to get vaccines. And then he saw that people were standing up against the vaccines and not supporting this. So he used that as a bandwagon to like get his name known. And the thing is that it's all theater. It's all theater. And the way that you know it's all theater, if you didn't know already, is that Canada just went through a Nazi-esque era where our government was experimenting on us with experimental toxic medication, and we weren't even allowed to decide not to take it. We had people being trampled by horses. We had people's bank accounts frozen. This isn't like conspiracy. This shit happened to people, and everybody knows that it happened. But liberals who refuse because they're the ones who voluntarily took this shit and were like, you guys all need to take it. The problem is that those guys who are voting liberal are, I don't want to get into it, but a lot of people who are angry that some of us stood our ground and didn't take it is because they were forced to, and they didn't have the ability. Some people had mortgages and there was really no choice, and that is so wrong. But some people didn't have mortgages. Some people are retired, or they do have mortgages, but they have a pension, so their mortgage is going to get paid whether they get it or not. They still felt like they were forced to in order to keep their jobs. And they are angry. There's a bit of bitterness and probably shame inside if they had, looking back, gone, you know what, I probably could have stood up for my fellow Canadians. A lot of people took the jab because they actually had to, and they still stood up against it and went to the convoy and got their bank accounts frozen. You want to call somebody a Nazi? You people are calling Donald Trump a Nazi. He didn't freeze bank accounts. That's a Nazi tactic. That's a, you don't have the right to say anything against what we say, and so we're going to stop your ability from making money to take care of your family, and then freeze the bank account on the money you do have. Come on, you guys. I don't care what you believe in. If you can't see that that is a totalitarian tactic, there's something wrong with you. I'm going to need you to give me your definition down in the comments because I'm fucking confused. The government, right now we've got seas of Muslims praying in the middle of traffic, stopping people from being able to get through. with no, they're not protesting, they're just stopping traffic to pray in a country that isn't theirs and certainly isn't is fucking Lamech. And the police just stand there. There's no horses trampling people. There's no freezing of bank accounts. Why aren't these people? Look, if you're going to cause a disruption in our city and cost us money to have police out and cost citizens money because they can't get through, then you're going to have to pay for that. We shouldn't be paying for your, not only should we freeze their bank accounts, we should take the money out that is causing them, that it's costing us to look after their invasion of our roads and our country. So all this to say, obviously, because I'm a thinking individual who's not a fucking retard, I'm not voting Liberal. With that same side of that same coin, I'm not voting for fucking Conservatives either. Are you kidding me? If Pierre Poilievre wasn't an establishment politician, there would be no people getting kicked out of his rallies for wearing MAGA hats and shirts. No, none of them. Because whether you like Trump or you don't, if you can't see that he has a lot of people following him, then you're so hate-filled that you can't even see the truth. And you really should look at that. And I reflect on myself all the time. It's the only way to grow is to be like, I made a mistake. I apologize constantly to the people in my life when I make mistakes. I made a mistake. I know it was wrong. I have to think about it. It doesn't always stop it from happening again. But when it comes to like decision making and being able to read what's going on, I'm willing to change if you can show me that I'm wrong. But for the most part, like I look and I'm seeing that that's all you need to know is that Pierre Poilievre would have had, and he's a flip-flopper. He was a Trump supporter until recently when he realized that it wasn't working for him or that there was a lot of people against that, and that the media was putting him face by side with Trump on Facebook, and I've seen this, which is, I mean, they both support Israel. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. That's a big, deep, yucky one that's all filled with all kinds of landmines and shit, but he's not even talking. He's over there talking about how we need to get immigrants in our healthcare system. Why isn't he talking about returning nurses to work after they were fired for not taking vaccines? There's a lot of nurses that are now, once they realized they pushed this COVID nonsense, and then these people started doing their research, and the vaccines that they're forced to take beyond the COVID shot, I wouldn't be a nurse even if it was my calling in life. There's no way you would get me to take that medical and force me in order to have my job. That's a thing. Why isn't he talking about what the government did to Canadians? Because if he was that guy riding high, talking loudly about how many people took these vaccines and regret it? How many people took these vaccines and they got really sick, or their loved one took it and they died, and people are like, wow, this is really a problem, it's really a thing, and woke up? He could use that crowd to be a landslide win. Why isn't he? Why isn't he saying he's going to cancel mandates for vaccines? If you want to take them, you take them. If you don't, you don't. He's going to ban all these poisonous toxins that people are like. He's going to look at some of this stuff. If he can't ban it, he's going to at least take away the ability for them to force us to take it. If we don't want it, we should be able to not have it. If it works for you, then it doesn't affect me. Why isn't he cutting off foreign aid? Why isn't he stopping giving money to Ukraine when we have 11 tent cities in Halifax that are housing elderly people on pensions who can't afford to live here anymore? Meanwhile, the migrants and immigrants are getting child tax credits for all of their kids by all of their wives, and welfare, and paid for hotels in Halifax. And again, can we refer back to the tent cities? So why Pierre is walking around visiting like East Indian restaurants and instead of homeless encampments. He doesn't care about you. I actually think he's throwing the election, because if he really wanted to win, like hardcore win, and make everybody think he was the biggest shit, king shit of Turd Island, he would be talking about the convoy, the truckers, the frozen bank accounts, the Nazi-esque, because even some of the liberals, if they were to hear him say this kind of stuff, they would turn. And I'd be supporting him. There would be no need for the PPC. And so, like I said, I'm in both camps, in the sense that I think politics is bullshit, but I also see a candidate who's saying the things I agree with. Let's put away these fucking toxic jab mandates. Let's get rid of the immigrants who are committing crimes. Let's stop immigration until we no longer have full-time moms with kids who are working moms with kids who are working full-time and still living in a tent city, while we got fucking migrant. And I don't care where they're from. I'm not racist. I don't care if you're brown, you're white, you're black. I don't care. Right now, we're fucking full. We need to start shipping you people out. And you need to realize that if you were to look at the Canada's Most Wanted list, it's not white Canadians, dude. Smarten up. Like, call me racist if you must, but go and look. Go fucking look. I'm not making this shit up. So Maxime is talking about the mandates and the frozen bank accounts and how this shit isn't going to be allowed to happen. And additionally, people be like, oh, he can't even get it on the debate, the politician debate. So there's 3 people we know and 1 guy nobody knows. Who the fuck's that other guy? At least Maxime has a platform, but they shut him out. He was told that he needed 4% of something. 4% of people, 4% of, I don't know what exactly it was, because I don't know those details. And when he hit that number and achieved that goal, they changed it to make it higher so that he didn't win. And his platform, I agree with. So I guess, I tried. I'm sorry. I tried to make this a short video. It's about having integrity. I didn't take that toxic jab. I took my kid out of school. I didn't wear a mask. I got removed from fucking McDonald's for not wearing a mask. I got harassed at Superstore for not wearing a mask. I got turned away from a fucking shit ton of places because I wouldn't play this stupid game. And I'm not going to vote for anybody who doesn't have something to say about that, especially when there's somebody who does have something to say about it. That's the thing, is that we're a 2-tiered system here. We have the conservatives and we have the liberals. And after 9 years of the liberal bullshit, everybody's about to buy into fucking 9 years of conservative bullshit. The only difference between the two is who they censor. So the liberals love the immigrants, the Pakistan, but you know what they both do? They're both touting to that. I can't even say. But so, for example, the liberals are silencing anybody who comes to a rally who doesn't believe in gender ideology, and the conservatives are kicking people out of their rallies for wearing MAGA shirts. So, and people who, like, I know people whose beliefs don't align with the conservatives. They actually align with the PPC, like, broom, like a fucking glove. All of their actual beliefs, when you talk to them inside their house and have conversations, they agree with the PPC platform. But they're voting conservative because somewhere in their mind, they've been programmed to believe that it's the conservatives or the liberals. And they're saying silly things like, it's okay that Pierre is censoring MAGA supporters at his rallies. He doesn't want to be associated with that. Well, that should tell you, being the fact, whether like it or not, Trump's got a lot of supporters, he should get on that train. There's a lot of, like I said, all of this shit that went down in the convoy, there's a lot of people who would jump on that Pierre Poilievre train if he was standing up against that. He'd be on the shoulders of he'd be doing the crowd surfing, man. He would be down with the people talking about this stuff. Like, so Maxime Bernier went on Patrick Bet-David's show. He is huge. He went on Tucker Carlson's show. He's fucking massive. Everybody knows Tucker Carlson, even if you don't like him. You know he's huge. And Maxime Bernier went on a channel whose name I can't even remember, and the dude had 150 followers. So that right there should tell you that he's down with the people. It's not that he needs to do that video with the 150 followers. He's got Tucker Carlson. He's got Patrick Bet David. He's got big channels that he can go to. He does that because this is who's listening. He wants to reach the people. Why can't you guys see that this dude is trying to reach the people? And I hear stupid arguments like, he lives in Florida. I'd fucking live in Florida too if I had the opportunity to. Okay, I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that. I don't have a problem with it. I know a lot of people. I know people who don't even live in fucking Canada and still vote. I know people who've abandoned Canada completely to go live in Mexico or some other country because instead of fighting for your own country, you move. I get no respect for that. It's like all the people who are moving here from England because they don't like the politics. Well, stay and fight for your fucking country. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to be supportive of any leader who's going to try to do that. But back to my original point of when, they tell you to go your own way, do your research, make your decisions based on research. But then when you do that, they fucking whack-a-mole you. How many people who are my friends have condemned me completely for speaking my opinion of the PPC. That's who I'm voting for. I don't care what you think. It's not about what you think. My integrity tells me that I have to vote for the person whose platform I agree with. And I agree with Max's platform. I sure as fucking hell do. Now, I don't know the dude. I've never been to a rally. I can't say that he's going to do what he proposes he's going to do. All I can do is look at the other platforms and know in my head that I don't agree with those. They're not a strong enough stand for me on anything. They're all milquetoast. Pierre Poilievre is nothing but a fucking charisma in a fucking suit. That's what that dude is. He's charisma with a suit and a slogan. He is a pancake politician because he's constantly flip-flopping on what he believes based on who his audience is, and I don't respect that. And to me, I just saw this meme the other day. In a world where people can be bought and sold, integrity is invaluable. And to me, if I know that you believe one thing at home, but you're voting for the Conservatives because one of two reasons, and these are my favorite because they're conflicting. So either the PPC voters, there's not enough of us to make a difference, in which case, don't worry about it. The other case is that we're splitting the vote, which means there's enough of us that we are significant. So those are the two reasons people are mad at me, one of the other, and it can't be both. So logically, like, give your head a shake. Those two can't be they can't be happening at the same time. And so if the first one is true, that there's so few of us that we're not going to make a fucking difference and we're not going to help Max and we should be voting Conservative, don't worry about us. There's not 10 of us. Don't worry. It doesn't matter. The other side is that if there's so many of us that we will split the vote, then all of you people who I see saying, I would vote for PPC, but I don't want to split the vote. If you voted PPC and you voted with your integrity and voted with your values based on your heart and not being afraid, you got to stop being afraid. Stop making decisions based on being afraid. Oh my God. So I didn't want to be moved out of McDonald's by police. I was so embarrassed. I was shaking so bad I thought I was going to pass out. I have anxiety at the best of times. Sitting here talking to you, I have anxiety. And right after Portapic, fuck off. You think I wanted that? I didn't. I was scared. But I have integrity. And I'm brave and I'm strong. And this is what we need right now. We need brave, strong people who are willing to say, fuck this shit. Pull us out of the fucking WEF because that's what Maxime Bernier wants to do. Get us out of the fucking United Nations, and that's what Maxime Bernier wants to do. Get Canadians back working because they've all lost their fucking jobs and their hope and their dreams because of the fucking last 9 years. And get rid of these fucking immigrants who are blocking streets in Toronto so people can't get to work, or who are I mean, come to Bridgewater. They're fucking everywhere. They don't speak English. You get out of your car and you're looking around because these people don't have respect. They are physically abusive to their own women in public. So then it brings me back to, where are the feminists? Where are the feminists on this shit where you've got 4 wives for one guy? If that's not the epitome of a fucking patriarchy, where are you? Be a fucking, if you want to be a, like, and it comes again back to integrity. If you want to be a feminist, you do that. But show integrity. When you see a culture of men who physically, violently, sexually abuse women and children to the extent that they've got 4 wives and like umpteen kids, the women aren't choosing that. The women are not choosing to cover themselves and be property. So if you really are a feminist and you actually have, and you want to be that, then have integrity with it. You can't, like all the people coming after Maxime Bernier for living in Florida, that's the big thing. He lives in Florida, you're splitting the vote, and he's not going to win anyway. Ooh, those are big arguments. I mean, it's nothing like Pierre Poilievre ignoring all the major issues that should be on the top of everyone's mind and talking about nothing. Axe the tax. Like, and his policies aren't even good. So you're going to axe the tax on brand new homes. Okay, who's building new homes? I'm not. I'm buying a home that somebody else has built, paid the taxes on already, and I have to work on to fix up because that's what our economy is like. So if you're in the position where you're not building a new home, that isn't helping you. And most people aren't building a new home. And logically, it doesn't make sense anyway. You should be paying taxes on new stuff. What you shouldn't be paying taxes on is used stuff. You shouldn't be paying taxes on a used car because they already had the taxes paid on it. You shouldn't be paying taxes again on a house that had all the taxes paid for on it, and now because it's worth more than it was when it was built and the person paid off their more whatever, now that it's worth more, they charge you more on it. Well, the material to build it didn't go up in price. So why am I pay, like, it doesn't make any sense. So if you want to actually help Canadians, you should be axing the fucking tax on used goods. When I go to a thrift store and I buy a fucking shirt for $10, I shouldn't have to pay tax on that. Somebody bought that shirt new and paid tax on it. It's done. So if you want to help people, then do some real shit. You're all fucking circle jerking over there. You know, and a lot of you guys were Trump supporters. You were fucking MAGA people until Pierre Poilievre flip-flopped and started kicking people out of his rallies. And then all of a sudden, it's okay. We don't mind the MAGA people being kicked out. You guys have to get some integrity. You have to criticize your politicians with the same integrity that you criticize the other ones. And I'm not criticizing, I mean, I could go through and criticize all of them, but all the reasons I would criticize them are the reasons I'm not voting for them. Max has a platform I can get behind. That's all I can say about him. And what I can say about myself is that I'm not fucking scared of not winning. I'm scared of not fucking trying. Can you imagine if you didn't go to the gym because you weren't going to be able to lift a 200-pound barbell your first day? Nobody gets there. Like, this is the other thing, the logic. Nobody gets there the first try. No Olympian became the champion of whatever the fuck they do because they went out on their first try and got it. So for people to be like, Max isn't winning, he's got no votes, or here's one, I voted for him last time and it made no difference, so I'm not going to waste my vote. How can he get any kind of traction when people aren't willing to stand up and support what is right? So if your integrity tells you that you agree with the Conservatives' platform, then you should vote for them. If you think that your integrity, based on obviously watching too much CBC and not doing enough of your own research, leads you to vote for the Liberals because that's what you believe based on your obviously non-existent information gathering, then you should do that. That's integrity. But my integrity tells me that I can't support somebody who doesn't have integrity, and he doesn't. Pierre Poilievre does not have integrity, and I can't support that. And I don't support his platform. Maybe he wouldn't have integrity, but at least he could have a platform I can get behind. There's nothing there. There's nothing on his platform that would make me even consider voting for him. In fact, I was a Pierre Poilievre guy, but I'm not, because he's milquetoast with no integrity. But if you can be brave for a minute and actually look at Maxime Bernier's platform and vote based on what you believe in your quiet thoughts in your home, not when you're out trying to impress people. And that's the other thing, is that, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn because I'm not that guy, but I am reflective and I do learn and I am open-minded. And when I find something that needs to be fixed, I fix it. I don't be like, well, that's just how I am. No, dude, if I see a problem with myself, I need to first recognize it, then criticize it, and then work on figuring out how to fix it. And integrity is just something I have always had. I went through a lot of phases in my life, and I've been poor, and I've never been rich, but I've been like not poor. And my integrity doesn't change. I would love to be able to be a trophy wife. I mean, it doesn't look like it today, but honestly, I look better in person than I do on camera anyway. But I'd love to be a trophy wife, but I have too much integrity. I would love to be able, no, I wouldn't. You know what? That's a lie. I don't want that shit. I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say that I acted out loud based on my beliefs. I want that. And I want my child to see that her beliefs and her values are valued and valuable. You need to be able to take up space. And if you are scared to vote for Max, even if you believe in Max's platform, just take a leap. Take a leap. And especially if you're somebody who wore a mask during COVID knowing that it was wrong, or you got a jab knowing that it was wrong, here's your chance to stand up against that. Especially if you took that jab and afterwards you look back and you're like, I wish I hadn't have done that. Now's your chance to make it right. Now's your chance to be like, listen, I know we might not win, but we might get bigger. Right? We might get bigger. And if we group together and people who have integrity, who actually want to see Canada be the country that it should be, the country where you can walk down the street and say hello to somebody and they might say hello in either French or English, or when you see a quote black person on the street, you don't have to wonder, is that a black person or is it a Somalian? No offense, but like in my opinion, black people, white people, and native people are all Canadian. But I have to look at facial structure in order to determine if I might be safe. And you might say, oh, you're racist for saying that. But when I was going back and forth to the Mass Casualty Commission, I had a cab driver who was Muslim, and I loved him. He was so lovely and so wonderful. And we laughed and we joked, and it was during COVID. And he was so funny and so great. And one day he couldn't pick me up. And I got picked up by a Somalian, and if you can't tell the difference, I mean, I'm sure they don't all look like this, but if you look up, like, you can tell. There's a forehead situation going on. And I got picked up by a Somalian in a cab, and I was a bit nervous because I knew that it was a thing where the Somalian Uber drivers were taking hardcore advantage of some of their patrons when they were calling Ubers, and these people were going to jail. You can look that up too. Like, I'm not making this up. So I was a little nervous, and nothing happened. He seemed lovely, and he took me to where I was going, and that was all there was to it. And then the next time my original Muslim cabbie driver came back, I was telling him about this guy and how I was a bit nervous. And then a few times later, because I had, every time that he could drive me, he drove me, which was like 9 out of 10 times. He was the greatest guy. I recommend him. Actually, I should put his name in the, I'm going to try to remember to put his name in my show notes. I don't know if that's safe. I'm not going to do that. But he was wonderful and lovely and got me right where I needed to go and brought me home safely every single time. And he was just fantastic. A few times after, I told him about this other cab driver. He said, hey, you remember that guy you talked about that you were nervous of, the Somalian guy? I said, yep. He said, he's in jail. He did exactly what I thought he would do. So is it racist if it's true? I don't know. But you know what? I'm not racist. My kid's Mexican. I have 2 black dogs. Like my first boyfriend in high school was Vietnamese. Like, I'm not racist. I'm just cautious and I'm observant. And we're letting far too many people in here. If people want to come here because they're doctors and they're going to contribute to our society, they should be allowed to come. And if they're not going to contribute to our society, they shouldn't be allowed to come. There should be no social assistance, no welfare, no child tax for anybody who hasn't lived and worked in Canada for at least 10 years. You shouldn't have access to a bank account that you didn't put money into. It doesn't make sense. There's no logic there. People need to bring the big picture of federal government taxes down to their house. Bring it down small so you can see it. Your local government, your local house is where you can really make the decisions and determine whether or not. So you run a household, you have a certain budget. So when your child comes to you and says, Mom, I want the Pokemon, but I want the Bakugan and I want the Hello Kitty, you have to say, listen, I have only so much money. I can get you the Bakugan or the Hello Kitty, but I can't get you both because there's only so much money. And those kind of decisions expand into government where people be like, well, we need to pay for abortion, but we need to pay for women to cut their boobs off when they feel like men, and we need to pay for immigrants, and we need roads, and we need all. There's not enough money for that. It doesn't work in your household, and it doesn't work for government. This is basic logic, and to me, like I said, if it doesn't make sense, I can't understand it. This is easy to understand because I'm simple. Like things, I need them to be logical, and this is logical. You don't spend money you don't have on a bunch of shit when you have certain things that need to be paid for, like roads, hospitals, and police and military. Other than those 4 things, government shouldn't be funding anything. Right now, there's way more, this is a saying, we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. That's what's going on. I don't know. It's an expression. You can either laugh and think, yeah, she's right. Or you call me a racist. I don't care. I'm not racist. I know that I'm not. I've been called it. I think it's hurtful because I'm not, but it's funny because I'm not, and people should know that. I am who I am. I say what I think, and you can like it or you can change the fucking channel. Oh my God. But I'm all done with this argument that we're either splitting the vote or there's not enough to make a difference. Grow some integrity. Realize that this could be your chance where there's actually somebody out there who's willing to stand up for the Canadian people in spite of the shitty ass things that people say to him online. He's still like, listen, I believe in the Canadian people. We are strong. We can do this. And you're over here not even strong enough to give support to a cause you believe in. So I don't mean you. I have some people specifically in mind that I'm obviously not going to name who I'm talking to because they're acting so outside of what I know their actual beliefs are. And it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch them bash me for standing up for the beliefs that I have when they know that privately these are my same beliefs. And I know that their privately same beliefs are the same. Anyway, I'm going to stop because it came on for too long and I have things to do and I know you do too and I'm sorry, but I had to get that off my mind. I hope you guys love each other. I hope you love yourselves enough to show integrity in your actions and put your actions in line with how you feel. Get off grid, grow your own food, arm yourselves, make friends with like-minded people. And God bless the 23. Thank you for listening to my rant. I really love you guys. I'm really appreciate you being here to listen to me go on. I know that you don't have to and that you have other things to do, but I hope you have an awesome day.